For decades, the Admiral Kuznetsov has stood as a symbol of Russian naval power. But after years of delays, disasters, and technical failures, its story may finally be coming to an end. Today, we'll dive into the troubled history of Russia's only aircraft carrier, explore why it never lived up to expectations, and explain why it's now likely heading for the scrapyard. The Admiral Kuznetsov has been in dry dock since 2017 for a modernization program. Originally planned to last just 3 years, the process turned into a nightmare of accidents, fires, and endless delays. Now, reports suggest the Russian Navy is preparing to abandon the ship altogether. Unlike the United States, which embraced aircraft carriers during and after World War II, the Soviet Union was slow to invest in them. In the late 1950s, Nikita Khrushchev canceled carrier projects, believing nuclear missiles and submarines were the future of naval warfare. It wasn't until the 1960s, under Leonid Brezhnev, that the Soviets began experimenting with carrier-like ships. The Moscow-class helicopter carriers came first, followed by the Kiev-class in the 1970s. These were hybrids, part missile cruiser, part aircraft carrier, reflecting Moscow's hesitation to fully commit to carrier doctrine. Finally, in the 1980s, the Soviets designed what became the Admiral Kuznetsov, officially classified as a heavy aircraft carrying cruiser. It was built not to project power like American carriers, but to protect Soviet nuclear submarines and provide air cover. The designation also allowed the Soviets to bypass restrictions of the Montreux Convention, which limited carrier passage through the Turkish Straits. Construction began in 1982 in Ukraine. The ship was launched in 1985, but only commissioned in 1991, just before the collapse of the Soviet Union. Along the way, it went through multiple names: Riga, Leonid Brezhnev, Tbilisi, before finally becoming Admiral Kuznetsov. Its sister ship, Varyag, was never completed and was later sold to China, where it became the Liaoning, the foundation of Beijing's carrier program. Admiral Sergei Gorshkov, the Soviet Navy's commander, dreamed of building a true global carrier fleet to rival NATO. Plans even began for nuclear-powered supercarriers like the Ulyanovsk class. But the collapse of the USSR ended those ambitions. Later Russian concepts, like the Project 23,000 storm carrier, never left the drawing board. The Kuznetsov displaces 65,000 tons and measures over 300 meters in length. Unlike American carriers, it relies on conventional propulsion, 8 boilers and 4 steam turbines, reaching speeds of up to 29 knots. Its fuel, mazout, a heavy tar-like oil, produces thick black smoke if not carefully maintained, earning the ship a reputation for trailing a dark plume wherever it sails. The carrier was designed to carry around 50 aircraft, including Su-33s, MiG-29K, and helicopters. But without catapults, it relies on a ski jump ramp for takeoff, limiting the weapons and fuel its planes can carry. To compensate, the ship was armed with 12 massive P-700 Granik anti-ship missiles, a unique choice since most carriers rely solely on aircraft for offensive power. Despite its imposing size, Kuznetsov has rarely been deployed. Its most notable combat operation was in Syria in 2016, where it suffered technical problems and lost aircraft due to arrestor cable failures. For decades, its unreliable engines meant it always sailed with a tugboat alongside, just in case it broke down. In 2017, the ship entered dry dock for modernization. What followed was a series of disasters. In 2018, a massive crane collapsed on its deck, causing major damage. Fires in 2019 and again in 2022 killed workers and caused further delays. Costs skyrocketed, timelines slipped, and the ship became a black hole for resources. With Russia locked in a costly war in Ukraine and facing severe economic strain, the Kuznetsov is seen as an outdated liability. Its old systems, constant breakdowns, and massive maintenance costs outweigh any potential benefit. the Russian Navy now prefers to invest in submarines and missile forces, assets that offer more practical value in today's conflicts. The likely scrapping of the Admiral Kuznetsov marks not just the end of a troubled ship, but also Russia's exit from the exclusive club of nations operating aircraft carriers. For Moscow, it is both a humiliation and a pragmatic decision. For the rest of the world, it's a reminder that prestige projects often collapse under the weight of poor design, mismanagement, and financial reality. The Admiral Kuznetsov was meant to be the pride of the Russian Navy. Instead, it became a cautionary tale of ambition outpacing capability. As it heads for the scrapyard, its legacy remains one of smoke, breakdowns, and unfulfilled dreams. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Military Power TV for more deep dives in military history, technology, and strategy.